So you have an old computer, but the hinges break, or they turn quite stiff and then the plastic breaks. So what do? Because if you can't order any new ones on eBay or something, how do you fix it or replace it? In my case, it's broken when I tried to rotate this, and yeah, I was unable to fix it. So I had an idea. What if I use just hinges from the hardware store? And that's what I did. It's kind of janky, but it does actually work. So in short, I took the original hinges and I figured out the length between the holes when it's obviously not like this, but together, or I held it together, measured the distances between the holes and the holes that are supposed to then go here, and the holes that go here and also in here. So and then I drilled the corresponding holes from the original hinge into here. Of course, there is a difference. This original hinge would normally be lined up with here, but because I'm using this, because this just rotates on its own axis, while this replacement hinge flips up. This also means that the cable here for the screen has to move further back when it's open. Yeah, so it might work, it might not work. In this case, it was possible. And I was then able to mount this new hinge on the original holes. This is just plastic meant to try kind of stiffen it, because this original hinge kind of, you mount it, but it also goes from the top to the bottom. There's kind of a step here. Anywho, so this way it's possible to replace the hinge, but of course the screen flips up and down a bit differently. It kind of sits further back. It is supposed to kind of be further in front, but because of the hinge it moves further back. Also, of course, I'm leaning it against the screen back here, but at least it's on the laptop. And when I close it, it's pretty, close to where it's supposed to be. So this is a possible way to fix the hinges. Also, I added some hot glue, or what it's called. It's like melted plastic. Also, the thickness of the hinge and the metal here is different than the one here, so I added a little bit of plastic to make it a little bit thicker, so the screws kind of press it down correctly. The same here, and yeah, the like hot plastic glue thing is just for stability and everything. And I had to cut out some of the metal here, for instance, because normally it would go like that, but the the metal original thing here kind of crashes, so I had to cut it. Also, I have cut it here because if you have the bezel on in front, when you then put it down, that would come down here and collide, because it's supposed to, yeah. The biggest problem is that the original hinge just rotates, and there's a plastic cover here. That's not compatible, because when the screen flips up and down, it doesn't rotate, so it goes further back than the plastic that's supposed to cover over here. So yeah, you would kind of have to just let it be visible or whatever. Yeah, so there are many small adjustments that I kind of had to do while trying this. Also, drilling the holes is kind of difficult, and not all holes were necessarily. I didn't have to drill all of them. Like the center one here isn't actually used for anything as far as I can see. And the way I drilled it, I flipped this down, had it together, and then I drilled all the holes through both of them when it was closed, because then you get the holes in the correct distance. And also the holes are kind of at the top and not far in, because that would collide with all sorts of different things. Yeah, so interesting thing to try. The only problem is, I think when I removed the battery, which was soldered on, I ripped the pad. That might have fried the motherboard. Or I also dropped the CPU and bent some pins. I bent them back. But it's not actually posting. I'm not sure why. But the hinges work. Just not the motherboard at the moment. I'm not sure why. It was a cool thing to experiment with. It's not a especially like valuable computer. This is also why I wanted to try it with this, because the hinge thing is like a recurring issue with all computers, and fixing them isn't always that easy. So yeah, this is a possible cheap solution, and it was more elegant than also just like I've seen pictures of people just drilling through and screwing them on, which isn't a good idea. Yeah, hope this might be interesting for other people as well. Of course, a small issue, they kind of protrude out the back, but they do work. Also the little cable here sticks out.